In the NFL Week 2 recap as we're going through all the games, all the highlights, all the analysis, all that good stuff. Go ahead and tap in and let's get to it. So the first game that we getting started with is over in Cleveland, where the Cleveland Browns were playing the New York Jets. Cleveland isn't really looking like the team that we expect them to be, but they are 1-0 coming to this contest with Jacoby Brissett making plays like that. Early in the first quarter, we saw Nick Chubb getting straight to work. He had a big day. He had 17 carries for 87 yards, 3 touchdowns. You know that Chubb and the Cleveland Browns, one of their main goals is to attack you on the ground. One thing we did not expect, though, is a Jets offensive explosion, though. Bryce Hall had that beautiful carry there. And then you see Flacco with the completion to Garrett Wilson. Garrett Wilson had himself a day as well. Garrett Wilson had 8 receptions for 102 yards, 2 touchdowns, and more from him later. There you saw Jacoby Brissett throwing one to Amari Cooper. He was such a great pickup for Cleveland. And I think once Deshaun gets back, we'll really be able to see Amari Cooper fully step in as that number 1 target. Anyways, as we move through the second and third quarter, we saw Bryce Hall score again, and Cleveland and New York were staying pretty close here. It's Cleveland's rock. Cleveland, again, just goes back to what works, and you go to Nick Chubb. Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, you find a way to make it happen. Jets weren't able to do anything on that following possession, so we get a 3 and out, and it's back to Cleveland and back to work. Kareem Hunt, again, down to the 30, and then we see more from Chubb. Now, we want to look back. Last year at this time, when the same thing happened, Nick Chubb, with the Browns 5-3, he decided to step out of bounds instead of taking the touchdown. That would have surely been an easy touchdown. The Cleveland Browns ran out the game, and they win 10-7. This year, not the same. Nick Chubb stiff arms and gets into the end zone with 1:55 remaining, and it looks all but certain for Cleveland as they take a 30-17 lead. Cleveland then misses the extra point, and then the chaos ensues. Next play, Joe Flacco down the field for a touchdown. But it's too early to celebrate because we know that New York needs the onside kick, and holy shit, they got the onside kick. So now we see New York Jets with the ball back with 1:20, and nobody expected them to be in this position. Nobody but Garrett Wilson and Joe Flacco. And as they move it down the field, the Jets, with 22 seconds, find Garrett Wilson again for his second touchdown of the day, the biggest touchdown, and the Jets escape 31-30 as Jacoby Brissett throws an interception to end the game. New England Patriots visiting the Pittsburgh Steelers at Acrisure Field, and this one got off to a slow start. And we get a quick field goal from New England. Unfortunately, for Pittsburgh, they were not able to get anything going as they're still having quarterback issues with Mitchell Trubisky throwing the pick here to Jalen Mills. Trubisky finished the day 21 for 33 for 168 and a touchdown before Nelson Agholor. You could say great defense by Witherspoon, but it was better offense by Agholor as the Patriots move into the third quarter with a lead. And then from there, more miscues for Pittsburgh and muff the punt as New England takes over in prime position to score. And in fact, they do. Damian Harris from 2 yards out, and New England would never look back as New England takes this one 17-14 in Pittsburgh to move to 1-1. Now, our next game is the Panthers and the New York Giants. A lot of people are talking about Baker Mayfield visiting New York, hoping this is his first win, and this is not starting out good for the Carolina Panthers as Chuba Hubbard fumbles the kickoff. The Giants recover, and immediately New York is celebrating. They were able to get 3 points off of that drive, and Baker Mayfield, next possession, Robbie Anderson, hold on to the ball. He can't, though, and the New York Giants take over again. Now, New York in their red zone, Daniel Jones looking, down he goes. Brian Burns with the sack. That Carolina defense is strong, it's resilient, and it's aggressive. If they can somehow find a way to stay together and stay healthy throughout this whole season, we could be looking at a dominant defense in Carolina. But regardless, Baker Mayfield steps up in the pocket, not able to find anything here. Baker definitely had his chances. This was a close game. It was a low-scoring game as they were trading field goal for field goal. This will be the second straight week that we saw the Carolina Panthers lose on back-to-back field goals, losing 26-24 the week before to Cleveland, and this week they finish out losing on that field goal to the New York Giants, 19-16. In a low-scoring affair, Gano hit from 51, 36, and 33, and the Giants closed this one out 19-16 with that game-winning field goal by Gano. Next, we have the Las Vegas Raiders hosting the Arizona Cardinals. Now, this was a good one. Early on, it started out all Raiders as we see Derek Carr really starting out hot with hitting Renfrow, then hitting Waller. Immediately, the Raiders were up a quick 10-0. And as the game continues to move, it's still all Raiders. Jacobs getting them down within the 3-yard line before Darren Waller with a beautiful catch by the pylon. Touchdown Raiders, and the Raiders are up 17-zip. Kyler Murray was doing it with his legs today, though, and at this moment, it didn't work as he threw the interception, and the Raiders still got it going. Derek Carr just had himself a first half en route to that 23-7 lead following the end of the third quarter. But then everything changed for the Cardinals, and Kyler Murray continued to do it with his feet. He creates a little game there, punches one in for a touchdown here, and just like that, the Cardinals are back in the ball game. Kyler Murray escapes, gets one into the pylon again for the 2-point conversion. And then on 4th and 1, Kyler with his feet. We were talking about this all day. They talked about this all year, and something about Kyler Murray. And as time expires to force overtime, the Cardinals rally, or A.J. Green in the back of the end zone. And you know, when it rains, it pours. And Derek Carr throws it out to Renfrow, who can't hold on to the ball. A scoop and score, and the Cardinals end up stealing one from the Raiders, or 29-23. Cardinals escape with a victory. Our next game is out with Denver and the Houston Texans. The Texans surprised everybody by stealing a victory in the week 1, and the Denver Broncos let everybody down by not doing that. And this week certainly was not different for Denver. The offense was not cohesive. Russell Wilson looked as if he was still pretty sloppy and slow, and he was getting booed in Denver. But they were able to pull out the win because thankfully they were playing the Houston Texans. A lot of penalties, a lot of errors in this game, but Russell Wilson and company were able to eventually sneak one out. As you see, Courtland Sutton had himself a game with 7 receptions for 122 yards. Russell Wilson did throw for 14 for 31, 219 yards, and a touchdown. So the Broncos did escape with a victory here. But there is cause for concern, as Denver was a lot of people's Super Bowl favorites and AFC West favorites. So we'll see if they're able to turn things around. But in this one, they were able to close out the Texans 16-9 as they move to 1-1 on the year. Now, the team that beat Russell Wilson last week, that's moving into this week 1-0, is going against the San Francisco 49ers, and that is the Seattle Seahawks. Now, we did not expect the Seahawks to take this one, and early on, the 49ers showed us that there is levels to this thing. Trey Lance was looking okay as they got started early. They did get off to a quick field goal. I'm not going to show the injury, but unfortunately, we did lose Trey Lance for the season. Unfortunately, it was 2 injuries that they were able to fix with this one surgery. Hopefully, all prayers up to Trey Lance, and we hope that he has a speedy recovery. With that being said, this was not a close game. Garoppolo and company were continuously just grounding and pushing the ball. We see Jarvis Vick score there. Garoppolo forcing one down for that 4th and 1. And it's a block by Seattle. The only points that Seattle was able to muster up as Michael Jackson returns the block field goal for a touchdown. And thank God for that one, because that would be the only points that Seattle scores, as this game was closed out by the 49ers 27-7, with Jimmy G stepping in, taking control of that offense. Next game that we have going is the Jaguars and the Indianapolis Colts, and we did not expect this, as early on, Matt Ryan picked off by the Jags, and immediately Trevor Lawrence leads his team down the field for a touchdown. Christian Kirk finds the end zone, and yes, he's going to do it again as Lawrence finds Christian Kirk. They just had a big day all in all, as Trevor Lawrence threw for 235 yards and 2 touchdowns. Christian Kirk had himself a day as well. More from him later, but the Jaguars were not done as Jerome Robinson punches one in, and then more from Kirk. We said the Jaguars were having fun today, and they were, as they roll over the Colts 24-0. Next game, Buccaneers Saints, and there's not a lot of defenses that make Tom Brady sweat, but one of those defenses is the Saints, and that's what they did this Sunday. Brady did start out pretty hot, but it was a back and forth defensive battle, back and forth throughout the first 2-3 quarters. Now, once we get into the third quarter, frustration then starts to set in. You see Mark Ingram with a big break here as they're within the 20-yard line of Tampa Bay where he fumbles, and then Tampa Bay on the ensuing possession goes 3 and out. Now, this is where we see Mike Evans have this little flare-up that he then got suspended 1 game for, and it really looked like it was going to be a defensive battle until that point. Now, more from the Bucs. Tom Brady, boosted by the interception by the Buccaneers, throws a deep one to Rashad Perryman for the touchdown. And then on the following possession, 4 minutes left in the fourth, an interception back to the house. Mike Edwards closes it out for Tampa Bay, who wins big against the Saints. Next game we move into is the Rams and the Falcons, and we kind of thought the Rams would take a stranglehold on this game early, and they sure did. Bobby Wagner was in the backfield taking down Mariota quickly, and then on the ensuing Rams possession, Stafford finds Allen Robinson. Robinson didn't have much of an impact in week 1, but coming into week 2, he definitely had more of an impact this week. Stafford again was able to find Cooper Kupp a little bit later on in the second quarter after the Rams are already at 14-3, and then more from Stafford. Here he forces a pass to Higbee that's intercepted by the Falcons, but once again, they're playing the Falcons. Mariota gives it right back to the Rams, who puts them into prime position to score, and the Rams do just that, throwing a touchdown to Cooper Kupp before the end of the first half. Now, as we move into the second half, Drake London began to make a statement. He was very impressive in this ball game. Drake London caught 8 receptions for 86 yards and a touchdown. On the next Rams possession, we see more force-feeding Cooper Kupp. And truthfully, I think this is when the Rams are at their worst. I think when they are feeding Cooper Kupp 15, 18 targets and zeroing in on him, it's a lot easier to target in on the Rams and cover what they're doing. Now, a little bit later in the game, the Rams have to settle for a field goal. This forces Mariota to pull the comeback, and he is able to do that by getting another touchdown out to the right side. Zacharias gets in, and then a blocked punt. This was a big play as well that made the Falcons feel like they had just a little bit of hope. Now, on the ensuing Rams possession, Cooper Kupp catches, takes 2 steps, and fumbles. The Falcons then recover it, and the game and the tide had shifted, it seems. The owner clapping, the fans clapping, everyone going crazy except LA fans who are not in attendance at this one. And then Jalen Ramsey decides, let's go in and end this one. He gets a pick of Mariota, brings out the Brinks trucks, and brings out the L for the Falcons. Rams close it out 31-27. In our next battle, we had an NFC North matchup with the Green Bay Packers and the Chicago Bears. Now, a lot has been said about Aaron Rodgers in the week 1. He lost week 1 last year and reeled off a bunch of victories, and it looked like he was trying to do that starting in week 2 this week. Unfortunately, they weren't able to get a touchdown on that opening drive, but they were able to settle for a field goal. Justin Fields, on the other hand, was able to punch one in as the Bears took an early 7-3 lead. Bears fans are still arguing this other touchdown from Justin Fields, but truthfully, I don't even see the ball in this picture. I'm not sure how you can argue this one for a touchdown. Now, the one touchdown that you cannot debate is a touchdown from Aaron Jones. So after easing down the field here at the end of the first quarter with Aaron Rodgers and Sammy Watkins, we see Aaron Jones rumble, bumble, and stumble his way into the end zone, getting the Packers up 10-7. Then more from Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers looks out to his left side, is sacked, but the flag comes in, and immediately our next play, 2nd and 28, a screen pass gets you some yards. Now on the goal line, what do? We give it to Aaron Jones, who rumbles in, touchdown Packers. The Packers do not look back, but more from Aaron Rodgers. Rodgers escapes the pressure, finds a wide open Randall Cobb, who is hyped, feeling it, and the Packers close this one out with a slant to Lazard. With a big lead, the Packers shut the Bears out. Final score, Packers 27, Bears 10. In the best matchup of the week, we had the Dolphins playing the Ravens, and this one was a doozy. Before NFL games had even got started and we opened our eyes, Duvernay ran back this one for 103 yards. To the crib, Duvernay, to the crib. Following this drive, the Dolphins looking back, Tua not able to get anything going, so we are moving on. Ravens ball, interception, Back to Lamar Jackson and company. Lamar up 21-7 here, big second quarter, and he finds another target, another receiver, Demarcus Robinson, and the Ravens were rolling. Lamar Jackson becomes the first quarterback in NFL history to have a touchdown pass and a touchdown run of both 75 yards in a single game. But the game is not over. Tua looks down the field, and you just got to guard Cheetah. I mean, I understand he's the fastest receiver, but you can't lose him once, and you lost him twice? And just like that, the Ravens and the Dolphins are locked up in a close ball game. And then with 19 seconds remaining, Tua Tagovailoa finds Jalen Waddle, his old college teammate, and they are off and roaring in Miami as the Miami Dolphins are off to a 2-0 start and complete the comeback bid on the Baltimore Ravens, 42-38. How about them Cowboys versus the Cincinnati Bengals? And this was a thriller as well. Early, time and time again, we see Joe Burrow being pressured by that deep Dallas defense with Micah Parsons along that line. They're having to settle for a field goal. But then later, Tony Pollard busting up the sideline. It looked like he may have scored after extending, but after review, they did determine he was on the 1-yard line. And then Dallas punched it in following that. 14-3 Dallas, and Burrow still looking for something, not able to do anything. And Parsons is feeling himself. 14-3, Cooper Rush, the ball in his hands, and he's going to find his playmakers as he finds CeeDee Lamb up the middle for a quick little gain of about 16 yards. Dallas not able to do anything on that drive but kill time, and then more from the Bengals. Well, more 3-and-outs from the Bengals. Once the Bengals finally started rolling later in the quarter, Burrow to T. Higgins. Beautiful route, beautiful throw. The Bengals were able to get that in, and it's a tie ball game late in the ball game. All eyes on Cooper Rush, who calmly gets it down the field and leads the Cowboys down for a field goal as time expires. Dallas wins 20-17. The Bengals fall to 0-2, and Cooper Rush is the story in Dallas. The next game we're covering is an explosion of offense, and this was the Commanders and the Lions. Early on, it was all Lions as Jared Goff makes a quick throw to St. Brown, who streaks across the field. He had himself a huge day, totaling nearly almost 200 yards of all-purpose yards. Wentz getting sacked in the backfield here. Ball goes out of the back of the end zone. Hutchinson, that Michigan draft pick, doing big things early in his career. Now, like I said, there was going to be more from St. Brown. He's dancing in the back of the end zone. Lions still up big, 15-0, and Goff wants more. Goff leads the team down the field and on the 3-yard line finds a wide open Josh Reynolds. And the Detroit Lions go from struggling to score to putting up a quick 30 points on the Commanders. But we do know Carson Wentz loves to play from behind, and that is what they did in this game. But unfortunately, it was too little too late as Carson leads them down the field, and they score on this quick touchdown and miss the extra point, getting no other opportunities. Game closes out with the Lions taking the victory, 36-27. Both teams are now 1-1 following this one. Next game is the Bills and the Tennessee Titans, and this was not much of a game as Josh Allen is the story. Not 1, not 2, not 3, but 4 touchdowns from Josh Allen last night was the story as the Bills roll over the Tennessee Titans, leaving little to talk about but the Buffalo Bills. The Thursday night football game of the week was the Kansas City Chiefs hosting the Chargers, and off rip, Justin Herbert get into business, throwing it down the field to Williams, and immediately to start the second quarter, Justin Herbert finds his target, corner of the end zone, 10-zip just like that. Now, you know Kansas City was going to respond, and they were going to score, and it became a cat fight. As you see later in the third quarter, Justin Herbert finds Williams again on the right side. A one-handed snag this time by Williams to extend that lead 17-7. But Patrick Mahomes will not go away. Buys time in the pocket, throws it deep down the field. He gets his target. That is a touchdown. Yes, sir. And then more from the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes once again spins out, buys more time, finds his favorite target, Travis Kelce. And Travis Kelce rumbles and bumbles before being slammed down by Derwin James. Now, that was a hell of an impressive tackle, by the way. Now, Herbert looks goal line, punching it in, and throws a pick six, 99 yards back to the crib. That's a pick gift, may we call it over here. And Kansas City takes a lead, and they will not give it up. Justin Herbert did look a little banged up as the fourth quarter continued on, but he is a trooper. So later in the quarter, as he's trying to make his comeback drive, Justin Herbert throws another pass that surely should have been picked off, but was not. And Kansas City decides that they're going to run out the clock with Edwards-Helaire. Well, Herbert does get his final chance to try to get something after following the Chiefs' field goal. But unfortunately, this is all that they can muster up. But they aren't able to close that gap as the Kansas City Chiefs end up winning this game 27-24. The final matchup that we're covering is the Eagles and the Vikings, which was certainly entertaining. Off rip, we had Jalen Hurts using his legs and his arm, finding Quez Watkins here, Goddard on the next play, before running it in himself to start the game out with that opening touchdown. Later on, we saw more from Jalen Hurts as he throws it deep down the field to Quez Watkins this time for a touchdown, and the Eagle fans are rejoicing everywhere. But Kirk Cousins did have his opportunities. On this drive, he was able to score, throwing it to Irv Smith for the touchdown. And then on the following possession, following the Jalen Hurts touchdown, Kirk Cousins gets his chance to respond and throws an interception. It right to Darius Slay. Darius Slay was able to grab this interception, and there will be another one shortly later on. But the Eagles' defense was running. As we continue moving, Jalen Hurts escapes the pocket, gets out, slides down to protect himself. Great choice. The Eagles settle for a field goal here, which was blocked and ran back. And so Kirk Cousins and company is set up in great field position to do something. On the 28-yard line, Kirk Cousins looks and throws another interception. Now, this is unfortunate, and this is a heartbreaker, but Kirk Cousins is going to do it again as he throws one to Darius Slay. The Eagles will not look back, and they do close this one out as they shut down the Vikings 24-7. Once again, thank you as always for watching Tappin Sports. As always, we're trying to be your number one coverage for leading analysis, the highlights, all that good stuff. So make sure you go ahead and tap in for all platforms, and make sure you show us some love because we work hard on these videos. They take time. We appreciate y'all as always for watching, and until later, be safe.